What's happening, guys? Welcome to Let's Talk Comics, and today I want to talk about some of my favorite books I've read recently. I got really behind on making videos about the stuff I recently have read, so I kind of decided to jumble up the past 2 weeks into one video. So we'll go ahead and start with Fury of Firestorm number 2. I really enjoyed this issue. I am enjoying Jeff Lemire's look at Firestorm, and in this issue, he retells us the origin of Ronnie Raymond and Professor Martin Stein. He goes a little bit more in detail on the origin. He takes a more in-depth character look at Ronnie Raymond. So we see a little bit more about Ronnie Raymond, find out more about him as a person, a little bit more about his background, and we get a couple more teasers as to what Firestorm is doing in this town he's in, where he's kind of supposedly went rogue. So we'll find out a little bit more about Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein, and we also find a little bit more out about the overall bigger picture of the story. I really enjoy this cover right here. You know, you've got Firestorm in the that classic pose. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's like that classic pose with the man who's standing, and he's got his arms all in a different location, his legs in a different location. I keep wanting to say something that starts with a V. I can't remember what his name is, but we have Firestorm in that pose, and also we have the little logo, like a radiation style logo we see right here all around him. So that's kind of like a little cool homage to that classic image. Then up next we have Absolute Green Arrow. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was one of the better Green Absolute titles that has launched. People are really going head over heels for the Absolute line right now. I read that they had pre-sales of over 300,000 on this book right here, as opposed to, which outsold Absolute Batman, which had pre-sales of over 200,000. So the fans are really digging Absolute Universe right now. Absolute Green Arrow right here. I was tweeting about this earlier, and I said that basically if you took all of our hot button news topics of the last 5 years, threw them into a blender, you would basically get this story right here. All the things that have been going on in the news, like people struggling to pay their health insurance, tech bro billionaires, CEOs of companies getting shot, stock market manipulation, Epstein files, Epstein Island type stuff. All of it is here in this book. There is a series of murderers. Someone is killing billionaires and CEOs of companies, and it is up to former police officer Diana Lance to find out who is causing all this carnage and who is killing all these people, But really good first issue of I believe it's six issue miniseries, or maybe it's an 8 issue. I think it was extended, but a very strong first issue right here, and very compelling. Then we have Of the Earth. This is by Chris Condon and Charlie Adlard. Charlie Adlard was an artist on The Walking Dead. Chris Condon, he has written quite a few crime-style comic books that I like. That Texas Blood being one of them. This issue here is very much a slow burn. In fact, these next two comics are very much a slow burn. And if you are someone who is not really into slow burn type stories, then I would probably wait on both of these to be collected in trade paperback. This issue here, I really enjoyed it, but there was not a lot of dialogue in it. Charlie Adler does a lot of the heavy lifting in establishing our location, and we have a lot of scenes like this where we see landscape, scenery being drawn, and that in itself, the scenery and the landscape, that's a character. And Charlie Adler does a really good job in portraying this as like an additional character. So you have quite a few pages in which there's just a couple of words, a couple of pieces of dialogue, and the art does the rest of the heavy lifting. Just like I said, there's a scene right here. Very few words, just all scenery, just all art. And we can see him drawing these locations right here. Tells us that it's a small town, small desolate town. So he's really conveying the tone and the location. And you look at the character's frustrations right here. He captures those. So even though there's not a lot of dialogue, the artwork here does a really good job of telling quite a bit of the story of this character who is coming back home after quite a while away. And we have this text piece here at the beginning that tells us about the origins of the Wildcatter. So basically what that is, it is a monster that lives inside these oil wells that are drilled. And this character here, she stumbles across or re-meets it, or whatever you want to say. She kind of has a history with this whole thing. But a very strong book right here, especially if you like a slow burn horror style book. And then the last book that I read that I really enjoyed was Odin. This is a James Tynion book. And the gist of this kind of reminded me quite a bit of the movie Midsommar. The quick story of this is we have this reporter here. She has gone undercover. She's infiltrated like a group of white power enthusiasts, and she's writing a story on them, and she kind of gets caught up in everything that this group is doing. And then we start to have like a giant mystery towards the end of this first issue. And this issue right here, much like Of the Earth, is another slow burn story. You get a little bit of kind of action towards the end. But like I said, it's a first issue, and it's going to take its time telling its story. I'm not exactly sure how many issues this is, but I can't imagine that it's anything more than a mini series. So especially the way James Tynion works on things, he tends to crank out mini series really fast. But I really enjoyed Odin. I thought it just off this first issue alone, I thought it had the potential to be like a movie or a TV show at some point. But I thought it was really cool. The characterization, the way that the undercover reporter here, the way that she is able to describe the people that she meets, the group of white power people that are going off onto this sort of mission. Not really a mission, just kind of like a exploration. She meets this group of people, and the way that she describes them in the dialogue, I thought was really, really good. So I like the writing on it, and I like the idea of it too. Like I said, it reminded me of the movie Midsommar, which I think is a really cool movie. So those were just some of my favorite books that I read over the past 2 weeks. I read quite a few, and these were the ones that stood out the most to me. So till next time, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.